Even though it's not always front and center, for many, the church has always been a part of their life, from baptism through Sunday school to youth group and mission trips, and eventually to marriage and even death. For children, the church is a strange place that fills the gap between private family life and the public square. It's not quite school, but it's not quite play either. Congregation members may be strangers, but they are treated as friends, and kids are allowed to roam freely within the building with minimal supervision. The church is a family outside of the family. It is a place where stories are told and strange rituals are performed. And it is a place where kids are invited to come to the front and sing silly songs. As kids grow, the songs get less silly and the stories become more meaningful. The stories of the Bible become intertwined with the stories of people's lives. Worship and fellowship experiences become memories that are reflected in the friends and community of people that make up the church. At church, memories are made together, and people learn to love one another, even when they have little in common. So what follows are just a few of the memories and experiences that create the church's legacy of love, which is being passed on every day.
So when I was growing up in church, this was outside Chicago, I came home from church one day and my parents asked me what I had learned. And so I said, "The earth is full of dry britches." And they looked at me, "What did you say?" "The earth is full of dry britches." And when in fact it should have been, I had misunderstood, it should have been, "The earth is full of thy riches."
Well, we used to go, when I was little, I'd go to this old church on Hudson Ave, Holy Redeemer. This big old church with Sunday school, and there's religion instructions, and there's also a regular school there, a Catholic school there. The kids went to school. The whole neighborhood went, other than the ones that went to the public school. And we'd get out of school early every Wednesday, and they'd march a whole line of us kids up to the church for our religion instructions. And then, so that was every Wednesday. Then came Holy Communion. It was a follow-up for religion instructions. And they paired us all up, boy and girl, boy and girl. We had to march all up to the aisle and do our first Holy Communion, and we're all dressed in nice little suits and dresses. I was 8 years old at the time. That was my first introduction into church. It was pretty neat back then.
I remember growing up, and I wasn't quite as jovial as I am now, but I grew up in the Hungarian church, Hungarian Reformed Church, and my parents were very involved in the church. My dad was a treasurer. My mom was head of the Women's Guild, and she was there cooking with all the other ladies after church. But I had to sit through two services, one in Hungarian, one in English, and I understood both of them. And I was not allowed to sit there and be naughty or anything. It was just like being Catholic, practically. You had to sit there and be very quiet.
One of my favorite memories is not something I did, it's something my daughter Rachel did. When she was in Sunday school, there was something called pew races, because the sanctuary at that time had linoleum instead of carpet under the pews. And the kids would start at the back of the sanctuary on their backs, and they would grab a hold of each seat of the pew and pull themselves to the front of the sanctuary, and the person who got there fastest was the winner. And she loved that, and it also helped clean the linoleum under the pews.
Oh, my name is Mary Record. I've been a member of this church a very long time, and from 1972 to 85, I was the director of Christian education, and we had some wonderful experiences, and we did a lot of fun things.
I grew up in a small town, very small town in the Adirondacks, and we attended Protestant church, and I have great memories of being a kid in the church. We used to have, one of my fondest memories was Halloween parties. And then we had, at Christmas time, we made these wonderful, made of twigs and gumdrop trees. And at Valentine's Day, we wrote out Valentines for people. There was an old folks' home not too far away. We always had something going on. Sledding parties, toboggan parties, cocoa, with hot cocoa and marshmallows. It was a great time.
My favorite memory from when I was younger at this church is when we had to memorize all the books of the Bible and we got an ice cream sundae party.
My favorite memory at the church was when after Kids Club, we would stay after longer with Mary and Maddie, and we would play Barbies in this one little room that was like more of a storage room, and there was a dollhouse and Barbies, and we would just play for like an hour. And my mom always wanted to just go home, but I'm like, no, we gotta play Barbies.
One of my favorite memories of church in younger days was when my daughter Alina was part of the play troupe that was part of the education program here. And they put on Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat. And it was just an awful lot of fun watching them get excited about learning about religion.
One thing I remember as a youth, and I'm saying way back to first grade, there was a Mrs. Tarrant. She ran the Sunday school program, but my Sunday school teacher said, if you come to Sunday school every day and have perfect attendance, you'll get a book. So this is the book that I received when I had perfect attendance as a first grader.
My favorite memory of being a youth here was going on bike hike. It was an amazing opportunity. It pushed us physically as well as emotionally and mentally to test our faith in God and join together as a group. And we got to learn a lot about each other and God as well. So it was a wonderful experience, a fun trip, lots of swimming and camping. So lots of fun.
Well, I know that we had 3 kids that participated in Viscom, and they talk about it all the time, about all the fond memories and all the different videos and the different activities, learning how to use the camera, and there's always a reminder that whatever happens in Naples stays in Naples. So I'm not sure if I'll ever find out. Because they seem to keep that secret. But they learned a lot. They enjoyed all the friends and activities that they participated in.
My favorite memory here at IUCC growing up in the church was during the 30-hour famine. I loved it because it helped put us in other people's shoes and really gave us an understanding of what other people go through. And it was a great bonding experience too.
My favorite memory as a kid in this church is when we had Kids Club. There was this globe with a bunch of different prompts on it, and you would throw it to each other, and whatever your thumb landed on, you would have to respond to that prompt.
My favorite memory from when I was a kid here at the church is usually in the Christmas nativity play. Every year I'd always be an angel, but one year I was Mary, and I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna be Mary. My name is Mary. This role was meant for me. So I was like really excited about it.
One of my favorite memories from when I was in Kids Club and doing the nativity play is Adam and I were Mary and Joseph, and we had this little baby doll as Jesus, and we would take turns throwing the doll off the balcony.
One of my favorite memories of coming to church probably is when I a couple of years ago we used to go upstairs and we used to play hide and seek. That was really fun.
The earliest thing I remember about church is Vacation Bible School. My mother was the teacher, and she brought our doctor, Dr. Stornelli, in to talk to the kids. I was probably like, I don't know, 4 or 5, something like that. And it was a revelation to me that this doctor was really a real person.
As people grow from children to adults to elders, the meaning and importance of the church also grows in them. The Bible stories reveal their deeper meanings, and the relationships that are formed at church become support networks that are depended upon in old age. Faith becomes a valuable tool when faced with uncertainty, and hope becomes a lifeline when faced with difficult life situations. These are the gifts of the church to the children that it raises to adulthood. Most importantly, the church teaches people to love their neighbor more authentically, and it provides the opportunities to act out this love in the larger community. Thank God for this church and the legacy of love that was entrusted to us. May this legacy live on in its children for generations to come.